That's the last corridor. That's the next checkpoint. The last guards will be over there checking your papers. And then you enter this open air yard. It was like that for the light and the air. It was always open to the south for the warm winds here. And then you go through the last part over there of the building to see the king. Let me show you how this part of the palace would look like. Those two base of columns are those columns over there. Just be careful over there. So those columns are over there. And we know that the room of the throne was decorated with many frescoes. So probably it was like that. We know that the Acropolis of Pylos was like that, so we believe that it was similar. And the frescoes, they would show griffins hunting things again, flanking the throne. And the colors over there were just minerals, stuff like malachite, azurite, oxides of bronze, oxides of iron. And you take the stones, you grind them, they become powder. Then you apply on the wet plaster and you let it dry off altogether. We have some remains of those wall paintings of the frescoes again in Athens in the big museum over there. Now, Agamemnon was the king over there in the Bronze Age. And as I said, he led the Greeks to Troy. He came back victoriously. But while he was away, his wife, Clytemnestra, had an affair with his cousin, Aegisthus. And that's why when he came back, she didn't expect that. She didn't like that. And she plotted against him. He took a bath. He was tired, so when he came back, he took a bath. And in that bathtub, they killed him. I mean, he came back victoriously. Okay, he endured 10 years of battle, so many killings around him, but he came back and he was killed by his own wife and cousin. And then his son Orestes avenged the death of his father. He killed his mother and his uncle. And then he was hunted by the Guilds, Erinyes. Back then in the mythology, Guilds were personified deities. They were called Erinyes. And then he was in Athens, according to legend, and he was tried and found not guilty in the end. There's a trilogy of plays that was published in Athens in the 5th century BC by Aeschylus, and we'll learn all about that thanks to Aeschylus. And we'll learn about Agamemnon and all that thanks to Homer, who lived in the 8th century BC. But to tell his stories, he used many anachronisms, which means he used details from his own era to tell a story that happened in the 11th century BC. So Homer puts the Greeks and Trojans fighting using iron swords. But it was the Bronze Age. They didn't have iron back then. And we know that they didn't even have horses back then. So even the Trojan horse is an anachronism. It was a lie. It was an idea introduced by Homer. And I showed you this photograph showing Schliemann next to the Gate of the Lions. And I can also show you this. It shows how the gate would look like when it was in use. But this shows also horses. So even my picture is an anachronism. Even my picture is not 100% accurate. But it shows you how things would look like on a normal day. We know that the whole Acropolis has a surface of approximately 30,000 square meters. There were two gates. The main one was over there at the Gate of the Lions, and there was a north gate over there, entrance, if I may say so, leading to the storerooms. And I know that, I don't know, you see just the foundations here, and believe me, this is the restored version, so things were much worse in the beginning. What you see here is the restored version, and at least you see a few things. You can see how the palace was arranged over there. Over there, that covered area was the hearth where they would light up the fire in front of the king always.
Why they didn't have horses? I mean, there were horses.
The horses were introduced in the 11th century BC. The Dorians brought them. The Dorians brought also iron. That's when the Iron Age begins, 11th century BC. And the Trojan War happened in the 12th century BC. So just a little bit before that. They didn't have iron, they didn't have horses, yet Homer puts the Trojan War being fought with horses and iron swords.
Yeah.
It's a nice story, though, isn't it? Still inspiring. There are so many movies still being made in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, questions about this? Okay.
Don't leave to fight a war for 10 years and come back.
Think about that. Think about that.
But also-